Hi, welcome to Paranormal Extraction. I'm Zoe Starr. Well, yes, we have a great treat again. Yet another interview with Clive Christopher. Yes, on his second film, Aliens Uncovered Origin. Now, Clive is a director and writer of 9 total movies. Don't forget to check out the first interview. So he's got a platform that's huge. We'll talk all about that and where to find them all. And they're absolutely wonderful. I mean, I'm learning so much. So if you're new to UFOs, I would start with the first one and keep moving down the list. Okay, and we'll talk all about that. But I just want to say that I really respect Clive and his work, and I think he's doing a good thing to educate all of us about UFOs or UAPs. And I'm glad you're here to watch the show. Thank you. Hey, welcome, Clive. Oh my God, it's so great. I really appreciate you coming on this small little show to talk. I mean, first of all, you know, it's amazing you've done 9 films. I look at them more as a documentaries so far, as many as we've done, which this would be the second interview. But they're just incredible. I mean, I have learned so much. I took like pages of notes on this one on origins. And so let's tell us a little bit about yourself again, since you're so famous, okay? And tell us now.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you are. And then you have this platform that people can go to find where all of your films are. So why don't you tell us that? Just a little bit about yourself before we get into, because I know you. I mean, I was just laughing my ass off. So, oh my God, but that's private.
Yeah. It's okay. It happens because every once in a while we have the malfunctions. Just once again, thank goodness we weren't live because that would have that like I said that would have been a viral moment,
Oh
and
my.
that would have definitely been a viral moment.
Yeah,
But thank
that.
goodness are pre-recorded and we can edit, chop, and do all that stuff. But no, thank you for having me. And
Sure.
for those that don't know, my name is Clive Christopher, the creator of Aliens Uncovered, and writer, director, producer. I've worked all over Phoenix with running my own business and pointing the cameras to the sky and monsoon photography. And so I've done a lot in my lifetime. This is just the next stage of the life, which is filmmaking and getting the truth about what's happening in the skies with with these UFO and alien phenomena.
Yeah, pretty incredible stuff too, and I love it because it's not this airy fooey foo foo stuff. I mean, this is a great place, you guys, for you to go to start at the beginning and learn. Okay, just scientific data around them too. You would call it science, right? Or
I would say some form of especially like sociology and stuff like that, and
ye-
how it affects people in groups. The psychology of understanding the psychology of behind abduction or in any of the close encounters, whether it's close encounter
right,
or the first
and
encounter,
that,
just that,
and
right? Yeah,
when they
absolutely.
were developed too. I mean, when was the first, you talk about like when was the first one seen, and whereas you talk about the evidence, you have the evidence right there, which is incredible. So it's not like you're just watching something and going, oh, no, you take each one down the path to the next movie. So on
Yes,
this one,
absolutely.
um, so I'd like to learn a little bit about this one called Origins of the man-made UFOs seem or seen from the early 40s to present day. That's what I have over
Mhm.
there. Is so that was the early 40s when they started to see this. I mean, didn't it go back way further than this? Or this is just the
Yeah,
documented
so
cases?
yes, so the phenomena itself, when it comes to UFOs, aliens, UAPs, even though that term wasn't out at that time. The phenomena dates back years prior to that. What I'm talking about is, origins, which is part two, but the origins of these man-made objects that come from governments, around the world. But here specifically in the U.S., spinning off of aliens uncovered ET or man-made. The second one we start in the early 40s at a time prior to Area 51. And this time period and everything that was taking place eventually leads up to the development of Area 51 because
Mm-hmm.
prior to really 1947, Phoenix, Arizona, really Arizona in general, the invention of the air conditioner hadn't taken place, let alone the portable air
I
conditioner.
mean,
Let me
can you
be
even believe that? I mean, sitting here right now,
right,
it's
right. It's
it.
an interesting concept to
Wow.
kind of grasp, right? But wow, the portable air conditioner didn't exist then, and it wasn't until 1947. But it was too hot during the summertime, so there wasn't a lot of people coming out here, except for the winter time. There was the Gold Stories, Camelback Mountain, the Grand Canyon, and that was it. But during the summertime, nobody was here. And then also when it comes to that heat and temperature, those are the perfect conditions when it comes to aerospace and wanting to fly and test flight and things like that. So in the
Interesting.
40s, early 1940, the government, passed the laws and bills for the military infrastructure to begin the early developmental stages of modern aviation. And
Yes.
Arizona at that time was the military's playground, still is in the present day.
Well,
We live in,
yeah. I mean, there's a
go
lot
ahead.
of bases there.
Yes.
I
Oh my
mean,
God. Not only
y-
bases, there's military missile silos, there's hidden bases all around the city. We
I
know about it. And when you come, I'll
yeah.
point them out to you. But this is everyday life to us. The military activity that goes on here. We see all the new F-14, F whatever it is. We see it before it even really hits the market. It's
Well,
tested
yeah,
here.
yeah. I mean, they had that one base out there that they rerouted the road around. They didn't want anyone
Yes,
close to it.
yeah, yeah, you're talking about Fortachuca.
Yeah.
There's Luke Air Force Base. Yeah, there's a lot of military activity here that doesn't get talked about. Some of the stuff I won't even talk about because when you look at it like that, I wouldn't want to be the person to take a video of something that is an advanced craft. You put it online, and then our enemy sees that, and that's a threat to our national security if the enemy has this technology that we have and we think we're the only ones that have it. Well, now they have it. They have videos of it and how it works and so on and so. So you don't want to be that person that's posting, military, project budget things like that on the internet, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
So,
but so we learned
like,
the difference between what a UFO and a UAP is, but on this one, you're saying that, okay, so the military do have a lot of strange craft, okay, that do things
yes,
and they're testing them out there. So if you're hanging out in Arizona and you see one of these things go by and you don't know what it is, you think it's a ship, but it's not. It's some new type of
mm-hmm.
military plane that they're testing. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying?
Not only military. I mean, this is Arizona. Like I said, it's the perfect conditions. So there's different aspects of aerospace. And then not only that, you're looking at the spacecraft itself. So you have some parts of components with like Honeywell and spacecraft that's being developed here as
Yeah.
well. So it's so many different things. And like I said, it started back in the 40s up until 1947. And during that time frame, you had some Project Blue Book things that were, happening here. You learn about her name is Judith in my documentary. She's in both one and two, but she talks about or being stationed at Luke Air Force Base, and an ex-boyfriend of hers told her that he was working on Project Blue Book, and some of those times he would disappear, and she'd have to wait, and be worried and stuff. But yeah, they were working on Project Blue Book here. That's well known knowledge to us. the
Yeah,
conditions here.
and that's
A lot of
that.
it.
Well, I mean, and that was a great. He documented quite a bit, but there's a lot more than that that wasn't documented. You know,
Yes,
um, I
yes,
I mean, I don't think he was the one that went out when the preacher found the bodies in the military, had him come in, and then they took the bodies away. I don't think he was there for that event. Okay, and there's several others that are, I don't think are he did, but they were happening and they were being covered up. And the bodies were
yes,
being taken somewhere. I mean, there's evidence and proof to that on your show, not just on your show,
absolutely.
but to everybody who wants to research it.
Absolutely. From 1940 to 1947, before Roswell, the Cape Girardeau incident, which is what you're talking about, that happened in Missouri. And I believe that body, because it was much closer to Wright Patterson, I believe that body in that crash, uh, that vehicle was taken to Wright Patterson Air Force Base, just because of the locations. But there was a few incidents that were documented by, not only, you had the Foo Fighters
Yeah,
in
now
World War
that's
II.
what they called, wait a second, Clive. They called the Foo Fighters, right? The ships. That's what they were? Was it the ships or it was the guys who saw the UFOs?
So the term Foo Fighter, I believe, came into play. I believe it was 1947. That one's escaping me a little bit, but that comes from the actual pilots. Because at one
Yes.
point we thought we saw it, and we would think that it was the German technology. There was Italian pilots, I believe, that thought it was the United States. But when those reports came together, that's when they realized, like, hey, this isn't Germany, this isn't Italy, this isn't the United States, this isn't Russia. Well, who is this? Who is it? And then the term Foo Fighters, I think the earliest mention of it was in Time magazine. And like I said, it
Yeah.
escapes me right now. It was either 1945 or
It
1947
was right on the
where you see the
cover.
Foo
Yeah, it was.
Fighters. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. And they
right.
were bald white that looked like they had the Christmassy color kind of
Yeah,
thing, but flying around the pilots, and they were witnessed by military and at sea, things like that. So
right. I
this
mean,
was
right
going
in that.
on and reported.
That just mesmerizes me right there that it could be on Time magazine, which was huge back then. Okay, you remember, or you may not. um,
Yeah,
but it
1945.
it shows it like that's like being on. That's huge. Okay, that photo was on there with crafts around. It's like okay, this is like it seemed a little bit more actually acceptable then than it is now.
Yes, absolutely. For some reason, there was this, disclosure. We have videos of Harry Truman talking about UFOs. They had, press conferences about UFOs. They would even, invite in, scientists and people with, those credible backgrounds to kind of talk on them and give their opinion. And this was stuff that the public knew. So at some point during this frame, it all went deep and underground, and I don't want to say underground, that's not the right term, but under the public's knowledge, I guess, is the
Yeah,
best way to put it.
there you go.
But when it comes to the 40s, that's a very important decade. But 1947 in specific, once Harry Truman got in office, and the information that was obtained during the UFO wave of 1946, really 1946 to 1947, that time frame, that information that was obtained was crucial, not only to the shaping of the nation that we know today, but then also with the technology that we received, because in 47, that's also when the Cold War started. And we
Yeah,
had Joseph Stalin, and then of course Harry Truman. That's USSR versus the United States. But that technology that we were developing, reverse engineering, was really huge. So there was a reason for the public and us, not knowing about these projects anymore, and that's because of the tensions of the Cold War.
Well, I mean, Truman even went in with, I mean, didn't he go in with the Nazis on one thing? He was involved with them.
That is a great point.
That's
1945,
pretty
as soon,
scary.
well,
Yeah.
so Roosevelt was approached by Stalin right before his death, and Stalin told him that he had gotten word that some of his trusted peoples were working with the Nazis. And, Roosevelt said, that's not true. Don't believe that. Whoever told you that, they're lying to you. When Roosevelt died, I believe it was April 12th, 1945. Harry Truman steps in, and then within 3 months, Operation Paperclip was not only developed, but it
Yeah.
began to take.
Yeah.
And what Operation Paperclip is, for those that don't know, that is the top secret program where the United States dissolved not only Nazi technology, but some of the German scientists. Werner von Braun was one of them, and a few others.
Yeah, they
And
brought him
they
over here,
began
right? Didn't they bring him over here?
brought them over here. They wiped their records clean,
Yes.
and
Oh my
eventually
God.
started
Yeah.
NASA.
What a
Yeah.
story
So the
that
origins
is.
of NASA, the origins of NASA is heavily, deeply rooted in Nazi Germany and activities with their scientists and their knowledge and everything. So
Yeah.
yes, that is absolutely correct. We bought German Nazi people over here and started NASA.
Yeah, it's,
Yes, that
oh
is true.
man, I know they started NASA. Okay, but I
Yep.
was in such a, when I was watching this, I was, I was just, well, I was flabbergasted, I guess would be the word, about this whole Nazi German thing with the
Mhm.
US and then the NASA thing and how you laid it out for people to understand, okay? And this also involves the UAPs and, UFOs and all that. But
Mhm.
people need to understand the history like you're showing them. You see what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
and why it's at where it is today. Okay. But you're clearly showing that through this era, they are definitely starting to go underground with it
Yes.
from the
The
Time
information.
magazine point till as we're going through this.
Yeah, the information, was highly classified, and especially with the tension with the Cold War, because see, not only did we have Operation Paperclip, the Soviet Union had their own version of Operation Paperclip. So a lot of people don't understand that when Germany lost the war, that technology and everything that was involved with Nazi Germany was split between the United States and the Soviet Union. See,
Yes.
Stalin was not for the bombing of Japan. He did not want Nagasaki and Hiroshima to take place. And
Yeah.
when Harry Truman caught word of that, Harry Truman stopped talking to him. So that's really, and this is 1945, and I
Yeah.
show the picture. I don't really touch on it, but this is where truly the tensions and the highlight of the Cold War really starts based off of Truman's actions. So this is why information really went deep, because at this time we're still allies with the Soviet Union. Stalin was still sitting at that table when the orders were given to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki, even though he disagreed with those actions. So the disclosure wasn't really about the United States and the public. It was about Stalin and who was, still technically sitting at the table until World War II ended, but right after, and I mean right after. Some people even believe that the Cold War started while World War II was ending. But it was like 1946, 1947. We had come up with a plan to capture UFOs. And that plan was, we knew there was a solar storm that was coming. It
Hmm.
happens every 11 years. and this solar storm in particular lasted 6 months, from March to August of 1947. And we
Mm-hmm.
knew through EME technology and what we've learned about the sun and solar flares and things, we knew that this unconcentrated amount of solar energy knocks out all technologies, including otherworldly. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
started in
yes.
March.
So right. So there was a 6 month period of no power, right?
There was a period, and I want to say so. The solar storms lasted 6 months. There was a time during that 6 month period where all radio communications were down.
Yes.
At So it wasn't until about the first, and you can include the Kenneth Arnold sighting that happened in June, but then of course Roswell took place. And a day before Roswell, because Roswell's the coup de grace. Everybody knows about Roswell, but the
Right.
fact of the matter is, there were three other crashes that took place in Phoenix, Arizona, and one of them happened 24 hours prior to Roswell. That was known as the William Rhodes Disc, and
Awesome.
that
So we left off with Clive
William Rhodes.
William Rhodes. Okay. Now this happened before Roswell, you said?
William Rhodes was one of four, but we're going to just discuss three of them based off of the information that's readily available. So William Rhodes happened a day before Roswell, and this incident, known as William Rhodes Disc, or in Project Blue Book, is known as Incident 47. And what happened was there was a gentleman by the name of William Rhodes who was outside in his backyard. He was a scientist working in his laboratory on his backyard, actually off of like 16th Street and Indian School here. And he heard something in the sky. He goes outside. He looks up. He sees a disc-shaped object just kind of hovering over his house. So he grabs his camera and takes some pictures of this disc and watches it as it flies off towards this monsoon storm, because that is, of course, monsoon season. So the strange thing about this sighting here in particular is he actually heard it before he saw it. Then he grabs the camera, goes off, watches it, flies away. Now, what happens next is just really interesting because he actually gets a hold of the Arizona Republic and tells the newspaper that he has these photos of this UFO, this
Mm-hmm.
strange disc above his home. Now, once he hangs out with the Arizona Republic, the person, the editor, gets on the phone and calls a couple special agents out at what then was known as not Wright Patterson, Wrigley Airfield, which is here now known as Mesa Gateway. And he gets them on the phone and says, "Hey, look, we had a call about some pictures of a UFO, and we were going to run the story." Now, the reason why that's so important is because the government actually put out a memo to all the newspapers across the nation saying if you get reports of unidentified flying objects, make sure you report them, and the real interesting ones, give us a call. So this is why this editor calls the special agent down at Wrigley Airfield. And keep in mind, this is all documented in Project Blue Book. So the special officer agent gives the approval for the Arizona Republic to run the story. That story is ran. A day later, Roswell happens. So when
Wow.
Roswell takes place, William Rhodes is going on at the same time. All the attention is shifted to Roswell.
Yeah.
At this time, two special agents, both of their names are mentioned inside the Freedom of Information Act that you can find online, involving Incident 47, also known as William Rhodes. My apologies, it's Incident 40, my bad. Incident 40, William Rhodes. And So then after Roswell, let's say Roswell takes place, after Roswell in August of 1947, and this story in particular,
Yeah.
you can find these books above top secret,
Yeah.
and
Great.
then behind, what is this one here? I can't see it. Behind the Flying Saucers.
Yeah. Very
This was
cool.
written by Frank Scully. This one is Timothy Good. And this one is two stories that gets lumped into one. So
Hmm.
what happened in August of 47, there was a UFO crash that hit a peak known as Dreamy Draw and skipped much further north. Now, that story in particular, there's allegedly a body that was discovered by a man named Saunders somewhere in
Mm-hmm.
the Dreamy Draw area. This body supposedly came out of this craft that skipped up north. So the crash that went up north, the military went out there, they contained it, roads were averted, um, they recovered the craft. Let's move on to October. Now, October is known as another crash that took place in that same area, the Dreamy Draw, but this one actually was in the Dreamy Draw location. It was witnessed by a man named Selman Graves and his brother-in-law. Can't remember his name at the time. But they saw a UFO sticking halfway out of the ground, military personnel surrounding the UFO. They were eventually questioned by this military personnel. I think
Well,
it said for
sure.
about 6 hours,
Of
right?
course.
And this interview is actually in my documentary. I got the permission
Oh,
to
that's
use it from
awesome.
MUFON,
Yeah.
and they Selman Graves goes through exactly what he says, but then he mentions at the end, he mentions Saunders. Saunders was somebody else who lived in the area, and Saunders is the person that found the body. Selman Graves says that Saunders told him not to go near the meat freezer because it was contaminated. And he believed that Saunders had an alien body at some point inside that meat freezer, and he didn't want anybody to go there because you can get sick.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, all three of these UFO incidents that took place, they're documented, heavily documented. William Rhodes has an interview on Fox 10 News where he talks about the men in black. He calls them the men in black showing up to his home. They took his camera, they
Yeah.
took the photo he took and never returned them. And
Yeah.
those photos are pretty much known as the first photos of an actual flying saucer.
Mm-hmm.
These same photos, Kenneth Arnold saw them, and that's the pilot that saw the UFO up in like Washington. He was
Mm-hmm.
flying the plane. He said the UFOs that he saw up there matched the UFO that William Rhodes took in
Wow.
those pictures. Again, the pictures, the Selman Graves interview, and everything is inside of the Aliens Uncovered Origins, which talks about these three different sightings that took place surrounding Roswell, and you never hear about them. A
No,
lot
you
of people
don't.
that I've talked to don't even know they exist. But there's actual interviews. Once again, William Rhodes, you can find it on Fox 10. It's known as the William Rhodes Disc. And then the Selman Graves interview, MUFON has it, or you can watch it once again in Aliens Uncovered
So they,
Origins.
yeah, right. So there you go. I mean, so there was a lot of stuff going on. It's just like anything else. They have one thing that they have on the news, and then the priority, and it's a big deal. Then the priority, like, was OJ one day. There was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of other stuff going on, and everything else
Mm-hmm.
took the back seat, and you never heard about anything else or anybody else. And unfortunately, that's the way it goes. So then people are basing their idea and their fact on that one report that they got of the weather balloon, so called, or whatever they are, but they don't realize that there's actually three more, right?
Yep. And
Yeah.
there not only is there three more. I mean, just 1947. If you Google search the UFO wave of 1947, this is something that the government knew was going to take place. They knew it was going to take place to the point where they contacted the newspapers nationwide and told them to record these UFO sightings and reports that you have. The actual report from some paper in California actually exists. You can Google it, do a deep search, and you can find the physical report that the
I don't understand.
newspaper.
Why would they do that then, Clive?
Well, they knew that one, this was an advancement in not only uh, moving forward with technology. We could capture these technologies, reverse engineer them,
I
and they
see.
could probably at the time being used for weapons of war and so on and so forth. Because after 1947, let's like we're going to look at the end specifically September of 1947,
Yeah.
and then move forward, right? But Harry Truman started the NSA, the CIA. Um, Israel was developed in 1947, if I'm not mistaken. There was a lot of important things that took place in 1947, and one of them being the CSA and NSA and so on and so forth. This really changed the landscape to what we now know is the presidential elections, the two terms,
Mm-hmm.
because Roosevelt served three terms. Harry Truman comes in, changes everything, and anybody else after Truman
Yeah.
would serve two terms. And the president himself was not labeled as an important person. That label was taken away because that job is now temporary. So everything involving the subject of UFOs, reverse engineered technology, and then the landscape of what future and advanced aviation was going to look like in the future, that was on a need to know basis. And not every president needed to know what was happening with those programs and where some of those budgets were going to. So we have Harry Truman pretty much stripping the powers from future presidents. Now, that doesn't mean all future presidents, because there were clearly some presidents after Truman who knew more than what they were supposed to know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
one of those presidents we're going to look at in the third and final, because Origins, ET are man-made, and then the next one, which is the Golden Record.
yeah, and
Those three
that's
are like a continuation. That's a part one, part two, and part three, and then it stops there. So
uh-huh.
that's just a little background information to you and the viewers.
Yeah, that's great.
Those really go hand in hand. But we talk about one president that just knew a little more than some of the other some of the others after Harry Truman, and that president is George W. Bush, who was also the director of the CIA,
Wow.
and he produced some information that let's just say it changed how we had encounters with these otherworldly beings,
Yeah.
and moving forward, you know,
Yeah, moving forward.
that exchange, that exchange under President Bush, really set forth what we're experiencing now when it comes to contact.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have a interview 3 on the golden records. That's the next one. So that'll be part 3 of what we discussed today. And of course, I encourage you all to check it out. There's one thing you haven't done today. You have not told people where to go and that some of your movies are free. Where do they go,
Yes.
Clive? I saw you put out a big thing in a, I don't know what it was. I took a picture of it because I'm going to use it without your permission. And about where they can find all this. I mean, it's a great ad, for you, for your all your films.
Yes, yes.
So,
So the free ones, the ones that you can watch for free, which is really the first five, but Aliens Uncovered, ET of Man Made, you have Origins, The Golden Record, you have Borrowed Time, and you have UFOs over Vegas. You can watch those on Tubi and Roku channel, Roku device, or even if you have a Roku TV, we're built into the Roku TV. You can
cool.
watch all of those five for free, and then if you decide you're hooked and you want to get into the rest of them that are on Apple TV, you can rent or purchase them and own them for yourself. You got Apple TV, you have Amazon Prime, you have Flex. Like I said, we're on about 12 exactly actually on major platforms. Just Google Aliens Uncovered. You can go to my TikTok, which is Aliens Uncovered,
Okay.
Instagram, Byfields, and I have the link. You just click on the link tree, and that has all of the films.
Okay,
Also,
so
Zoe, you
they
have the
can,
link
yeah,
tree
so they
as
can,
well.
well, it's so they just go to aliensuncovered.com, Clive, because I know I never got that.
No, 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 no,
Uh-oh.
no, no. And so if you just go to Google and just go type in Aliens Uncovered on Google, it shows you all the platforms. Not only that, it will send you to my TikTok and Instagram.
Okay.
And then in those links in the bio, you can actually find the link tree that'll send you. You can go to IMDb and find them. Just really searching anywhere Aliens Uncovered,
Right.
whether it's IMDb, whether it's Google, and it'll take you directly to those locations.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we got that clear. And I want everyone to go and do it because me, I think you're awesome, and I like the slowness
Thank you.
and the way it goes to teach the proper. I think it should be taught in this proper form. Period. That's just what I believe. I mean, instead of looking in this book and looking over here and looking at that, it's all just kind of uh, you know, a little timeline situation here, which
Yeah,
I'm really digging.
exactly. Because
So,
when we were at the board, and you can see the drawing board, behind me here. I'll tilt the camera up the drawing board. But when
fine.
we were at the drawing board, that was one of the main reasons. Everything is scattered around like a giant
Yeah.
puzzle that's on the
Yes.
table is fresh out of the
Mhm.
box. And we decided to create a timeline because,
Mhm.
once again, just the 40s alone, with Paperclip, with the start of prior to Area 51, what was
Yes.
going on? Area 51 is, the big thing now, but what was going on before that? And where was everything being taken place? It was Arizona or Wright Patterson, but mainly Arizona. A lot of the testing, and then you got Paperclip, and then you got the UFO wave, and then, outside of that, you
Yeah.
got these William Rhodes, got Selman Graves, you have Saunders,
Yeah.
you have all these different stories here in Arizona would happen within months' time that nobody knows, but they're all a part of that timeline, and it's such an important
Exactly.
timeline
And
that
that's what we
everybody needs
need
to.
is that timeline. Not all this just happened over there because it's exciting. I mean, people need to know, okay, well, yeah, there was some other stuff going on around Roswell. Hello. And then the big event,
Yeah.
and that's the only thing people focus on because they're not educated. All right, period. So I just want to say thank you so much, Clive, for having you on today. I really, really appreciate it. And I really look up to you. And to me, you're like a god. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding because you're so
Awesome.
smart.
Thank
I
you so much.
mean, you're so smart. You're also an archaeologist, Clive. I mean, come on, it goes on and on and
Well,
on.
not yet. I'm not an archaeologist yet. I was in school, but I have worked on some very important sites. I worked in Turkey. I worked in
Yes,
Greece, Rome. I'm one of the few, and no, I'm not in some secret society, but my professor, I believe he was, and he got me access when I was in school
yes,
to the Vatican archives.
yes.
So, I've seen some things that a lot of people won't be able to see. But archaeology is funny. A friend of mine, she just told me I should get back into school and get finish my degree because I'm doing so much here in the valley now, especially with the Lost Dutchman and put out the stone maps that I need to finish getting that degree and really living that childhood dream that I've always wanted
Well, I
to,
know,
and that's
but
digging.
sometimes we switch our childhood dream to something even better. And
Yeah,
but sure. I mean, I think that would be a great idea if you have the time.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Nine
yeah.
Movies. I mean, nine
Yeah,
films.
actually, actually, we're at 10 now, and the
Oh,
11th is getting dropped on July 2nd. This one is called Aliens Uncovered: Buried Cities and Lost Tribes. This film that's coming out on July 2nd is really going to highlight the landscape and the direction in which we're going. And this film in specific, I'll let your viewers know, we're actually talking about the inhabitants of that area of the Grand Canyon that is
yeah, yeah.
really
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we're talking about them, who lives there. This one's a little different. It's a completely different film. It's an actual filmed documentary with some voiceover, but a lot of, I have on camera interview with my Hopi elder,
Oh, you
John, and
do. Oh,
also
you
with
do with the
Elijah.
elder.
Yeah, so yeah, we got the
Wow,
Hopi elder.
wow. Clive,
He's gonna
second.
change.
Where's it going to
He's gonna
be
change
on?
some things.
Yeah, yeah. You're over there
This one is
laughing.
going
Look
to
at your
be.
little voice. You got something up your sleeve. I can tell. I know you. All right. Look.
Yeah, this one.
Where do we watch that? 'Cause that's the 10th one. So when's that coming?
This is actually this that one is number 11. It's Buried Cities and Lost Tribes, Aliens Uncovered, Buried Cities and Lost Tribes, and that one will be on Apple TV. You can actually pre-order it now. You can check out the trailer. It's all up there, ready to go. It'll be released July 2nd. And like I said, this one is going to have you looking at Arizona a little bit differently, and especially trying to visit the
What
Grand
if you
Canyon.
don't
And
have Apple TV? I don't think we have Apple.
so Apple TV is it's one of those apps that you can download on your phone, your computer. It's like Netflix. It's like Amazon. You can download it. Also, you can because of so the Apple TV is a device, but if you have Apple, right? Because there's different levels of the branding.
Mhm.
If you have just phone alone, your phone comes with Apple TV. If you have a MacBook Pro,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
have a
I do
Mac
have
desktop,
Apple TV, so I'd look for it on there.
yep, you just go right on there, and we're built into there. So you just type in Aliens Uncovered. All the Aliens Uncovered that are on Apple TV will
Here,
show up, but this one specifically
you're
is a
amazing.
direct.
I mean,
Thank
come
you.
on. What are you
Direct
going to
release to Apple
do?
TV.
We're supposed to go up there in October and do this trip, and I'm thinking, okay, man, he's probably going to take us to the ship, but we're never coming back. And
You
I'm
never
really
know.
excited about that, Clive.
We're gonna have a time is ready to be had come October. Let me tell
Yeah, great. Okay, well,
you.
I've had an awesome time. Excuse me, speaking with you on and off camera. I always do, always, always, always. It's just a little hard to get information from you, but
Well,
yeah. So we're just gonna move on to happier roads here, and just again, just say, we're very grateful for Clive being on the show today, and I hope you enjoyed this. And yes, I've slowed down my shows. I'm only having Clive on, I don't know, once a month or once every 2 weeks or something like that, um, because my focus is with UFO community right now, mainly, and extraterrestrials and things like that. I'm working my way into. So there'll be a lot of change, and just give it some time. It's a very slow process. Right, Clive?
you know it.
All
You know
right.
it.
All right. Bye bye. Thank you.